should not be having any snow in Los Angeles. If you do, we're just all going nowhere. Hey, Cherie.
Hello, hello. It's oh my gosh, don't tell me it's supposed to snow again. It snowed
Ooh,
this weekend
you
where
need
we
to see
are.
the report. Yeah, you need to. It's all starting Wednesday all the way until next Tuesday.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank goodness I went and did grocery shopping today. So,
Let's say we got.
except if it's supposed to snow for those many days straight, I probably want to go and stock up a little bit more.
Hey,
Um,
Eric.
Hey
hello,
y'all, hey
Eric.
everyone, hey everyone. How
Hello,
you doing?
everyone. Please put your city and state in the chat. Put your city and state in the chat. And I'm going to actually get started. I'm going to introduce what the 10K project is. This is a public discussion about blockchain and crypto. So some people may be watching us on our various social channels, may not know who we are. So if everybody would just indulge me for 3 minutes, I'm going to explain what the 10K project is. And then I'm going to turn the microphone over to Talisha and Eric to talk about blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Talisha's really great at understanding the tech and also the business use cases. And Eric is really great at he's great at all of it, but he's specializing in a segment called tokenization, which is going to be $27 trillion worth of activity in the next few years. So I'm going to hopefully I have, we call it tantalized, I think is a term, you with regards to what is going to be possible within blockchain and cryptocurrency. But before we do that, I just want to introduce everyone to the 10K project. We are all about building Black wealth and using a legislation called equity crowdfunding in order to build wealth within the Black community. So the basis of this is that businesses, then any community provide jobs, they create economic stability, they fund nonprofits, etc. But they need money to start and grow, and Black businesses are the least likely to get funded. In addition, when those businesses are funded, we as everyday people are most likely not a part of that funding, that early stage funding. And as a result, we miss out on most of the profits because most of the profits are made with people that came in early when those businesses do very well. So the Jobs Act of 2012 came about. It was signed by President Obama, and it gave Black entrepreneurs another option to get the money that they need from regular people like us. We are called the crowd, and this is called crowdfunding. Now, no, this is not a SUSU or a fund. This is equity crowdfunding. It's regulated by the Securities Exchange Commission and FINRA, which is a financial industry regulation authority. So how does equity crowdfunding work at the 10K project? Number one, entrepreneurs work with an SEC-approved equity crowdfunding portal to raise, right now it's $1,070,000. However, starting March 15th, it goes up to $5 million. Then every week, we feature a Black-owned business that is raising capital in this manner. These entrepreneurs do what we call bet on Black pitches. Investors, meaning every one of you individually, get to listen to the pitch, review the business plan, review the other documents, do what's called due diligence or your research. And if you like that business, you are able to invest in that business in exchange for shares or partial ownership in the companies. So you have 100% control over the companies that you choose to put money into. And if the company makes it big, the crowd shares in the profit. If not, investors only lose what they put into the company. So 10K project came about because I was saying for 3 years, if 10,000 of us came together and we put in $100 each into a business, that's $1 million. We can start funding our own companies, profiting from our own innovation, creating jobs, and building Black wealth. So 10K Project is the largest community of investors who are actively funding Black-owned businesses using the equity crowdfunding method. And ultimately, this is the ecosystem that we want to build. Number one is you have entrepreneurs that are looking for money in order to start, grow, or buy businesses. And I'm really passionate about us thinking about buying businesses as well. Then number two, we have everyday people or investors that choose to fund some of those businesses. Then part three is the entrepreneurs get money. They're going to need assistance with marketing, sales, accounting, etc. They're able to come to what we have is an expert directory, which anybody who's a member can put yourself in the expert directory. And then they're able to say, I need an accountant, come to the expert directory, potentially find you and your listing, contact you, and the two of you are able to have a discussion about them potentially using your services. So this is how we circulate the Black dollar longer. This is group economics, and this is ultimately our 21st century version of Powernomics here. This is the ecosystem that we're building. So if you like this idea, you're more than welcome to become a member. The Bet on Black pitches are starting soon. You also get the opportunity to place yourself in the expert business directory within the Knowledge Center. The Knowledge Center also have other training, wealth building webinars around real estate, land, tax lien, stock options. Tonight is about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and about buying businesses. We also have community coaching and peer-to-peer conversations around wealth building, as well as around specific areas of equity crowdfunding and industries that we really should get into with regards to funding businesses and growing those businesses so that we can get a disproportionate share of the $68 trillion wealth transfer that's about to come over the next 15 to 20 years. So it's a one-time payment of $100. You can become a member, the10kproject.com, in order to check that out. So I wanted to stop this here. Thank you so much for letting me give everybody the intro to the 10K Project. And Talisha, Eric.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty then. So I guess let's start off with the basics. We're hearing about Bitcoin. We're hearing about cryptocurrency. Elon Musk, of course, made news. And it's funny because I was tagged in a Facebook post from Kendra, the Merriam. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about Elon Musk and how he put, I think it was 1.5 billion or something like that in the Bitcoin, and the price shot up. And we were having conversations within the responses of, the rich, listening to the rich and following them, the rich and famous. And I made the comment, when the rich are going right, I start looking left. And one day I might do a podcast or a sermon or sermonette on that. But I think it's important for us to recognize, because there are a lot of rich entrepreneurs, rich, successful, famous entrepreneurs out there that are leading the way with regards to certain, phenomena. So I'm just going to open it up to the two of you to introduce yourselves, how you got into crypto, and then respond to what is Bitcoin, why do we care, all of that stuff.
You want to take it, Eric?
No, Talisha, you can go first.
Okay. Well, I will agree with the statement of that today's topic has been an ongoing thing, but I think it's a great learning lesson, is that because people use the terminologies doesn't mean that they're well versed in the topic. And that's one thing that cryptocurrency is, specifically across the board, is that it requires a lot of due diligence. It's not something that you can just cursory, oh, I heard, so-and-so told me, I read this little article, it's great. I think Kamari Ellis has said many times in the Black Wealth group that Black people treat the stock market like the stock, like a lottery ticket. You get it and you just hope for the best. And I said, that's my analogy for cryptocurrency, but it's a slot machine. People just think they're going to put a few coins in this little machine, pull the lever, boom, and the jackpot's going to hit. And that's not what happens at all, ever. We are past the days of Bitcoin ever being cents. That's just not happening right now. I'm tracking it as $46,677.28. So it's never going, you're never going to buy the 10 pizzas. Like, it's not going to happen anymore. That's not viable for Bitcoin. There are many viable products and projects out there that are reasonable. Very much you can get in on the ground level and have moderate success. Again, we're not going to see this in this exact way ever again. I've been in this space for 5 years now, working in all different aspects of it, from the true back end of the blockchain, seeing how that has truly evolved. And I think that's just something that I like, because I like to see the architecture of things rather than the application. The application is great, but there's a lot that, again, can be done with, just with the infrastructure itself. So that's where I kind of come in. But people want to talk about the application because it's the front end user. People can see that, and dollars make people really want to talk a lot about stuff. So that's where we are, and why we need to concern ourselves with it is that this is not going anywhere. This is not a fluke. I'm kind of kid that it's the tech behind the trend. The trend is here to stay. Just like the internet was a trend and you now can't live without it, so too will be this particular technology and all the applications that are awaiting to be seen, because we're not even at the tip of what the applications. I mean, there's so much more that is just, this is truly an iceberg, and the cryptocurrency is really the hot ticket right now, but there are so many other things. DeFi is right at the crest, and tokenization is hot on its heels. So we just have a lot of things moving, but this is the greatest place where you have to do due diligence. This is not something that you're just going to understand or just get a nice hot tip. This is not a bet. It's not like that either. It's not ever going to be that simple.
You know what? I'm going to echo a lot of those points exactly as Talisha said. She's absolutely right about those. I see this as to me, and I remember pre-internet days and what those days were like, and looking to get on the internet, and somebody picking up the phone and knocking you off the internet and that kind of stuff.
Getting on the internet. It just sounds so funny now that you get on it.
Right, and all of that, and seeing that whole transformation take place, where we can say for the most part, and I heard. And I heard a gentleman say this for 2020, that 2020 was the year of the internet, where, all of the promise of what people talked about in the early days of the internet. Hey, one day you won't ever have to leave your house. You can just order food and order from any restaurant or that sort of thing. And you won't even have to actually go physically to a classroom. You can take classes online and that sort of thing. Or even to a job, you can actually do this. Now, listen, granted, have those things taken place before 2020? Oh, sure they have. But we did get to a point where it became a complete necessity. Then at that point, like now it became, no, all of the children are they have to be at home, and now they have to take their classes over the internet. And there were some places, we can, in certain communities where people didn't have the internet, where kids, I remember this one girl down in Mississippi having to go to her grandmother's house in order to, get on the internet so she can do her classwork. But I say that because this is the next true transformational change that is going to happen in our lifetime. And Talisha made a great point when she talked about this trend is not going away. This is not a fad. Anyone who's saying that before, and I know people probably heard that before, and there's a lot of people in TradFi, I call that traditional finance, who want this thing to go away. And they will be on CNBC and Fox Business News talking down on it because they want it to go away. It's not going away ever again. This is it, and this is going to stay. Now, one thing, Sheree, I do want to say this, in response to people talking about Elon and following billionaires, that didn't happen this time. As far as I'm concerned, the average person, the retail investor, you, I, me, other people, we have front run this. Elon, the richest man in the world, has followed behind us. Most of us were into this before him, And you actually look at that cryptic tweet that he put out last month, and people, Elon does that a lot, and people kind of try to decipher what did he mean by that. But when he said it was inevitable, now you look back on it and you look at the SEC paperwork. Oh, it was inevitable because that was the day that they actually bought that $1.5 billion of Bitcoin. And that was what he did. So now you look back on it, the purchase didn't just come last week or today. It came in January. So, but there was a snippet that came out with him where someone was talking to him and he said, no, I do believe cryptocurrency is the future. And he says, I don't think it will be just one, it will be multiple that will probably win out in the end. And one of the things that we talk about in this is we're now in a new age of value and how that value is captured. Like right now for all of us, whether there are people here on Zoom, some people on Facebook, some people on YouTube who are viewing this, understand this, that you in your individuality and who you are and what you represent and your demographic, you are offering value now for those platform owners, that they are taking all of that, who you are, and then they're leveraging that and selling that for advertising and that sort of thing. The whole thing has that been the way the internet was supposed to work? And you look at it now, and we're in this evaluation period now, where for the most part, we're saying, no, that's not. Because I'm the one supplying a lot of the value. Yes, you supply the platform, but I'm giving you a lot of the value, and should that be returned back to me? I'm only going to say this because I can ramble on to like a lot about this, but I want to say one thing we have right now that's happening, and just pin that conversation, pin that point I just made, is, we see what happened just recently with Robinhood and the GameStop stock, and with Wall Street Bets, and Robinhood went in and really totally manipulated the system and did that. And there was a lot of real populist anger that's taken place. And you look at that and you go, okay, well, what is going to happen with that? And yes, you can go and you can rail against the system. There can be this big class action lawsuit that we know a lot of these people are really heavily lawyered up, and it will take 20 to 30 years, and then eventually a settlement will happen and no one cares at that point. So the point I say that is that needs to be directed into a way that's productive for you and for everyone. And blockchain, crypto, to me, it presents itself as probably one of the best ways where that can be directed into a very productive way. So.
Yeah, the Reddit thing is very, the GameStop Robinhood Reddit, I guess it's kind of like a triangle is what I'll call it.
One started the other. It was a snowball effect. But I need to preface this because I know we're going to get this question a lot. This is not financial advice. We are not financial planners or professionals. So this is informational. You can take it for what you want, but this is always going to be due diligence is necessary and incumbent upon you, because only you know what you have available and what you want to do with your portfolio.
Absolutely. So, the interesting thing is that I don't know the average age of the Redditors, but I would imagine that they were younger people, probably sub 35, 40 years old, right, that decided to do this. And I do, like Eric was talking about, there is going to be a shift and a change in the way that traditional finance is done once, the next 15, 20 years occurs and the baby boomers die off and people who are digital natives become the largest swath of individuals in this market. The other thing is that when I talked about when the rich are telling us to go right, I start looking left. Jamie Dimon, put a one in the chat if people know who Jamie Dimon is. Put a one in the chat. I'll see how many people know. Okay, so we got some people who know. Perfect. Jamie Dimon is the head of JP Morgan Chase. And for probably a couple of years from what I remembered, he was saying no to Bitcoin, no to Bitcoin, no to Bitcoin, no to Bitcoin, no to blockchain, no to blockchain. And all of a sudden, or JP Morgan Chase, it wasn't really him, comes out with, we've been working on, this blockchain application, et cetera. So one of the things that I just want to lay up on people, because I see a lot of questions about the different coins and things like that. I'm just going to give you a macro perspective of somebody who has been looking at blockchain and crypto for the past 3.5 years now, is to understand that what's happening is going to change the way things have run traditionally with regards to finance, with regards to decentralization. So, you're if you think of, this is not a political thing, but thinking of something like Parler, who basically was shut down by 3 companies, if people know what I'm talking about. What younger people are looking at now and leveraging blockchain in order to do so is, how can we set it up so that you don't have 3 companies, 3 CEOs that could get together and basically shut down an entire company? Again, I'm not talking about from a political point of view, but I am talking about from just an overall point of view. And I do think that before you start, well, I won't say before, as you are thinking about the different tokens you want to get into, and Talisha and Eric will talk about and answer questions about different coins and tokenization and things like that, you also want to think about blockchain in general. And you want to think about the jobs that blockchain are going to replace. So the final thing I'll say before I let Talisha answer questions or Eric answer questions is, Roland Martin did a segment with the gentleman. 4.3 million Black jobs are expected to be lost in the next 10 years due to AI. I would imagine that another 4.3 million may be lost due to blockchain, because blockchain takes over repetitive tasks in a secure way. So if you have family members that do repetitive tasks, if you do repetitive tasks, understanding that this technology may replace you. And it's time for us to also think about reskilling ourselves as well. So I wanted to just say a couple of those things before Talisha either continues talking about technology or talks about coins. I know we have a couple of questions in here as well about specific coins.
Hey, Shree, I'm sorry. One thing I just want to say with that JP Morgan thing, and I hope everyone listened to what you just said about Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan. And, yes, a lot of us remember that when Jamie Dimon was very, very forthright about, how much, he was calling Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme, really saying it. Then we find out behind the scenes,
he's buying it.
Yeah, he was buying. And just recently, January the 25th, if you go look at Entrepreneur Magazine, JP Morgan comes out and says Bitcoin, analysts at JP Morgan say Bitcoin will never reach $40,000 again. Well, it said 46. Listen, this is like orchestrated FUD is what we call this. This is very deliberate. And let me just say this for us, people who are myself, who have been around a bit. Older people like myself been around a bit. Listen, there is a point in time in history where people that are very successful, very wealthy, don't know what they're talking about. And you have to recognize and understand, okay, these people are going to go on the mainstream shows that you see, whether that's Fox Business, CNBC Money, and they're going to say one thing that they are either A, completely misinformed about, or they're doing it deliberately, just like Cherie said, as a real smoke and mirrors, some 3-card Monte thing, switching it over so you go the opposite way, then they go and take that and throw you off. And to me, that is part of the success here, is learning to filter that out, and for ourselves to really get into a community where you have sort of discourse and build very strong convictions about what you're doing. And to me, it begins to inoculate you against the FUD that you will see, a lot of times coming from the legacy financial markets. So
also, just again, I would just use this Elon Musk as a prime example. The Dogecoin has been on, on his tweets every day for a couple of days, and whatnot. And I think this is a great, I don't know if anyone watched the session right before this at 6 that Cherie and Tawana did with Angel Rich. And she talks about strategy a lot. And I think that's a really key thing, is that we as a people sometimes don't understand the strategy, or we're so just wrapped up in the FOMO that short-term gain is great. But to me, that's you just basically bought him something because he cashed out a long time ago. And that's something very much like those pump and dumps. That's how you have to understand what those are. So being very gung-ho about something and then the person doing just the opposite, that not only shows you kind of a moral issue. And I think even Angel talked about that. Like, you have to be susceptible to understand that people are not ethical in this, and they're going to do these types of things. But at the same time, you have to understand what you're doing. So if you're looking for a quick buck, you're trying to do the same thing, you're going to get caught. This is not that kind of game. Like I said, we're not gambling here. And those are those kind of things, those short-term, oh, I just want to jump on, I just want to do this. You're going to get caught in something that you know nothing about. And like I said, this is not, I think Dogecoin is a great example of that. Not to say that you can't buy it, but you have to understand what you're doing with it. And if you don't, this is not a good time to just jump in. There are very specific people who are good at trading and understanding that. But for the most part, people are just getting in because they hear it every day. But that doesn't mean that you don't invest in stock that way. You don't buy a house that way. You don't do anything just because you're like, oh, I heard it every day on the news. Nobody does that. That's not how we do things. And specifically now, this is causation for you to understand, because there are so many utilities. And that's the point of cryptocurrency, not just for its own purpose. It has to have a use case. The only one that doesn't have a use case is Bitcoin itself, because it was the first, and it itself is a blockchain, a network, and it is an application. So it built itself into its own use case. So that's the only one. But from here on out, it's going to be like, what does it do? Why does it work? What do I get from it? You have to ask those questions each and every time you're looking at coins and or tokens. And we can kind of go into that a little bit later. But that's what I think most people are just jumping on. Reading white papers is something really important, but also understanding what does that mean? Because there's a lot, again, marketing is really great right now. People have these wonderful marketing budgets. But then you ask, okay, what's the coin for? And I'm going to throw out XRP and Ripple. I'm sorry. I need to know what you do. You insist that there's customers, and every customer that is asked and posed says we don't use them. So I need to understand that. I can't get past that. So it's not a diss. It's like, if you can't answer a simple question of what do you do, just like if I pose to you, what is your job? And you need to tell me. You can't be like, well, I sort of kind of help people do certain things sometimes on Tuesdays. I don't know what you do. And I need you to really clearly, before I invest in you, you need to tell me what it is that you do, so I can understand and be educated about that and see where my money is going. So those are those kinds of things that I think, we have these conversations. Everybody's like, well, what coin, what this? You need to know what it's for. Some people are really into gaming coins. I have an esports person in my house. She's real concerned about her gaming coins and tokens. So we spend a lot of time in that area. I'm an old person. I like energy and solar wind. Like, I look at those kinds. That's what makes me. My daughter could care less. She's like, I'm not looking at that price of that coin. I don't even know what exchange it's on, because it doesn't impact her. So those are those kind of things that have a conversation even before we talk about the tech. You need to know what you're looking at, and what purpose does it serve, and does it serve you ultimately?
Yeah. And another thing is, who else is using it, and are there enough people using it to increase the value of it as well? And when I say increase the value, I don't mean so it gets a gajillion dollars. I just mean that if a token is not used enough, then sometimes they're delisted, or sometimes the value goes to zero. So one of the things that you want to look at is not only what Talisha is saying in regards to how like what is the purpose of that token, which means you need to understand the business case of that token, which means reading the white paper, talking to people, understanding why people are using that coin or that token. But also, how many people, is it something that people use often enough where it makes sense for you to purchase it? So one other thing, in Facebook, we have Kenneth saying something or asking something. Blockchain being the skeleton of almost all industries is because of its security, which is true. Is there a company positioned to benefit from the technology? So, Kenneth, I am going to put in the chat for you our Black Blockchain Consultants YouTube channel. You have 3 years of what we call blockchain chat, and it layers in basically the use cases and the corporate benefits of blockchain. So I'm going to do that because that's a big answer, and we could spend an hour just going over that. But we do have a couple. I want to start off with, we talked about Bitcoin. Another person here, Greta, mentioned Ethereum, which is the number 2 largest, well, in value, coin that's out there. Tell everybody a little bit about what Ethereum is.
Ethereum as a network has its own coin as well as tokens. Most people don't recognize the token portion, but Ethereum has the ability, it's built very similarly to the Bitcoin blockchain, but it has the ability for things to be built upon it. That was the one thing. The Bitcoin itself is kind of flat in the sense that it just only allows itself. It has a little bit of smart contract availability to it, but Ethereum was based and kind of made that way, where there's smart contracts that can be sit on there, DeFi products can be actually built upon it. It's kind of like when I think of, if you're looking at your own network, how you build your own personal network, but if you want to start to include other people, you build it a little bit wider and broader. So Ethereum has that, and that's exactly why most people are using it and why many, many projects are built upon it. The one caveat right now with Ether is that the gas prices, and gas is what it is to power the transaction. It's again, you're moving things from one place to another, even from a digital aspect. This is the thing that causes that. You have to have bandwidth, energy, and gas. These are all those things that kind of come together to do your transaction. And those right now, it's very slow. That's the knock. And it's very expensive. So people, while it's rising in price, it's, you're going to have to take that hit to get it. And if you move it, boy, you're going to see that you spent a whole lot of money to move a little amount of money. But it's a wonderful platform. And again, these are what you're evaluating. Is the network itself is one whole separate thing. And then the coins that it produces from its mining is another thing. And tokens are also another thing. But that's what you're looking at. And that's what we're looking to make sure that you understand, that there are a whole bunch of different networks and platforms that are built on. And they're subsequently, like I said, people can get their coins from it, which are truly just the store of value. And that's what most transactions are for monetarily in that aspect. But there's also tokens. And this is where knowing the difference between proof of work and proof of stake, and staking, which is really hot right now. Everybody is trying to stake their tokens, which is, I think, one of the things that we particularly need to get involved with. This goes back to what Eric always says, being a consumer is great, but you're the product. Everywhere you go, you are the product. At no point are you getting any benefit of being just showing up. They're just like, great, give us all your stuff. The ability to stake means that you are now a contributor to that network. You're getting something from being there. Even if it's just your presence and keeping your token there, you're getting compensated. And that's what we need to look at. Sometimes it's not just to hold it and try to take it somewhere and trade it. It's really like, I can stake value into this. Therefore, I'm actually being compensated in that same value, reinvesting, doing all those things. That's what we really need to think about, that some of these networks are really just trying to get up and running. And sometimes you participating is what helps them really stay afloat and then go to the next level. But everybody's just, again, caught into the coin craze. It's really not always about that. So again, in the evaluation of a project, it could be the network that you're staking in rather than just getting a coin so that you can trade it.
That's a
Yeah.
great
So,
point.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's a great point, Talisha, about that, about people launching their own staking nodes. And just for people to hear that, I mean, you then, as Talisha was talking about the gas prices, see, you actually receive a portion of each of those transactions for processing those transactions. And in turn, as you do that, you actually further decentralize the network and actually, in that case, make the network even that much more secure
Yeah.
by doing it. But go ahead, Sheree.
Yeah. So I'm a very I've been trying to figure out how to do this forever. Let me just say that. I'm a big fan of something that a guy named Jay Abraham called the toll road. Every time you want to pass the toll road, you have to get to the point where you pay the woman your dollar, or at the point it was $1, $2 or whatever. Or think about PayPal. Every time you want to do a transaction, they get a couple of percentage points from it, and people are building billion-dollar industries. The same thing with tokenization, or some of the coins with what we're calling the gas, and that's part of the that is the language with Ethereum. So the smart thing that was done from a business perspective with regards to Ethereum is every time you wanted to use the Ethereum network, you got to buy gas. Just like every time you're going to go somewhere in your car, you got to buy gas as well. So people are making it, like everyday people in the network are making money every time you do a transaction. And Ethereum is the number one, what do you call it? Blockchain infrastructure that people use in order to create their other blockchain applications. So that is one of the top reasons why I feel it's the top reason why Ethereum has the valuation that it does. And there are some people who believe that Ethereum will surpass Bitcoin. There are people who believe that. I do want to go into. I'm trying to get some of the questions in order so that things will seem like they make more sense. So that's why I'm going between YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom here. I'm not forgetting anybody. But Donna Robinson is asking, would you mind sharing the link to the white paper on cryptocurrency and blockchain? Thank you. I'm going to respond to this, and I'm going to suggest that you Google the original Bitcoin white paper. I did. I read it, and it lays out the foundation of blockchain overall. After the 2008 meltdown, this phantom of a person, Satoshi Nakamoto, came out and said, we don't want the power to be in a few people's hands. And that was the white paper that was written, the original Bitcoin white paper. You can Google it. You can easily find it. I read it in about, I know it's like 8 or 9 pages. It's not that long. So you'll read it in about an hour. And I read it with a highlighter because I was reading it for a specific purpose. Talisha and Eric, do you have any other suggestions for Donna about this?
You always start with the Bitcoin because that is going to tell you specifically why and how all these other networks. And you're not going to see the word blockchain because that's not what it was called. He truly called it his own network. So I think going there and kind of just looking at it from a very high level, from a business aspect of just what the problem he was trying to solve. That's very much, if you don't kind of go into the weeds of the technical things, that part is definitely not necessary. I mean, it's great for if you're looking for it to be really engrossed, but that high level of what the problem was and how it was going to be solved is answered there. And you can take that and superimpose that onto every single project because you have to have a problem, you need to solve it, and how are you going to do that? That's kind of like the 3-prong of every single thing you do. So you start with that original and move along, and everybody has their own white paper. So if you're thinking about, going to Ethereum, they have their own. Just go to their product section of their website, and all that information is always readily available to you.
Yeah. So Tony here in Zoom is asking, I need clarity. What is the best way to go about using or investing in cryptocurrency? Does it act mainly as a bank account where you fund a hard or soft wallet, you know the lingo, Tony, with money and let it sit and grow, or simply use cryptocurrency for security purposes to facilitate purchases and collaborative movement of funds? So we're going to break that down into three different questions. So the first question is, what is the best way to go about using or investing in cryptocurrency?
You know, I would say this. Okay, it's funny because he said using or investing, which is
Which is
great. Tony.
different.
I like how you did that. Now I do see those as two separate parts.
Mhm.
As far as for investing, you can get a Coinbase account or a Gemini account. There's other exchanges you can go and you can use, so you can start converting your money from fiat meaning US dollars, or if you're in another part of the world, from your native currency, and then go begin to start buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other crypto assets. So those are a lot of the gateways. You can go and you can look at those, and they're pretty solid, reputable companies. Now, from that point, then when we start about, when we talk about using, like this becomes a massive area now. And I'll be honest, like in some of the things that we would talk about are so wide and so vast. You could hear that, you could go, okay, Eric, that sounds like complete foolishness. That sounds like complete ridiculousness, but it's actually happening. And one of the areas, Cherie talked about tokenized assets earlier, and this is something that, and this is an attribute of blockchain itself. Okay,
Explain what that means, tokenized assets.
so tokenized assets meaning taking any asset. This is an asset that lives natively in the digital realm, or an asset here, that's in the physical realm, and creating a digital representation of that asset, so that it's tradable, it's immutable, and it lives on the blockchain. So, and this also allows you to be able to take that asset and create fractionalized shares of it. So, and listen, I'm gonna, say this, and I
Yeah,
know,
you're going to have to bring it down
I
just
know,
a
I
couple
can't
more
even make a
levels for
question,
people.
but let's just say that if you own a house and you decided to say, okay, for the ownership of this house, it's worth $100,000. I'm going to take this, and for the ownership, I'm going to have it fractionalized into 100,000 tokens that represent $1. And those tokens, then people could go and they could purchase those tokens, and they could then own those shares of that particular property. Now, granted, as I say this, there's a myriad of regulation when it comes down to when it comes down to real estate, that would need to go through that, as they go and they handle that. But this is something that is happening. This is happening. There are platforms like Realty that are doing this, and this is something that is happening right now. So this isn't something that's purely in theory. This is something that actually is happening. You can go and look at a myriad of companies that are actually doing this. I also, when I talk about there are also assets that live natively only in the digital realm, only in blockchain itself. And those assets are also then tokenized. We talked about value itself and the value that we create in networks when we give our participation into networks itself. What we are now able to do in blockchain is take that value, and that value then gets captured into a digital format, into a token. And let's just say, for instance, I'm going to say this. So if the three of us said, hey, you know what? We have our own little team, and our team is, we come here on Monday nights and we talk through problems. And if Eric presents, 5 answers to the problems, Eric gets 5 tokens for that. Okay. And Sheree presents, 3 answers to the problem, she gets 4 tokens, or she gets 3 tokens. So Talisha presents 5 answers, she gets 5 tokens, and those sort of things. And as we begin to then solve problems and that sort of thing, we begin to create value in and of itself. And that value becomes very tangible, and we're able to capture it. Now, one of the things is, previously we would look at something like that and you would say, No, we're just talking. But we do know. We saw this just recently. We talked about, the Clubhouse app, where all of those conversations, all of that activity that rolled into that app created so much value that now they said that the app is valued at $1 billion. So, I look at something like that and I go, man, imagine if it had been a Clubhouse token where everybody came in and, hey guys, listen, okay, I got some problems with you. Meet me in Clubhouse and we're going to talk through it or whatever. And then we're going to go and someone else is going to come in, they're going to mediate that. And then they're going to do that. And then for us, then grabbing value in, and some people would just come in, just be pure spectators and to watch this fight taking place. The value is there of us then entering into the space. And previously for something like that, it was just kind of ephemeral. It wasn't it wasn't captured. But now we're able to do that in tokenized format. So this is a value that we provide for the internet, and tokenization allows us now to finally be able to capture and reap the benefits of that value that we give.
Yeah. So I want to take a second and just introduce everyone, since Talisha put it into blockchainstudies.tech. I'm going to share my screen because there are some resources here available for you. And Talisha also put in the code 10K crypto for 50% off of these courses. So this is the Center for Blockchain Studies. It's, Talisha and Dr. Keisha and Eric and Tawana and several other people who put together these courses for us, by us, around blockchain and cryptocurrency, et cetera. So there is the Blockchain 101 training if you want to know what blockchain is, and you can get a certificate of participation with regards to this. We also have about building a six-figure blockchain consulting business, smart contracts, which we haven't even talked about smart cities yet, and smart contracts. This is going to be a 20-something trillion dollars a year going through smart contracts. 8-figure entrepreneur. And then we also have things in here like selecting a blockchain platform. So this is the questions that you ask yourself in order to either select a blockchain platform for yourself and your own tokens, or to think about being a blockchain consultant, a paid blockchain consultant, and selecting a blockchain platform for either your employer or for clients. We also have the teen edition. Shout out to Jackie Hayes, who did the teen edition here. We've got cybersecurity, optimizing your LinkedIn profile. Because I have Black blockchain consultants on my LinkedIn profile, I get solicitations probably twice a week from people who want to network with me because I know blockchain. Crypto econ security is another great session by Daniel Addison. Healthcare, taught by Talisha, and I'm drawing a blank on her name. Oh my goodness, I feel so embarrassed. Nafisia, yes. Nafisia, wonderful class here. And then of course we have a couple of other things around supply chain management, white papers, et cetera. So this is blockchainstudies.tech, blockchainstudies.tech, and the to get 50% off the courses, you got to use the promo code 10K crypto. 10K crypto, blockchainstudies.tech leads you right to that website. So Talisha and Eric, now we want to go back then to the additional questions from Tony asking about if crypto serves mainly as a bank account where you fund a hard or soft wallet with money. So number one, people may not know what a wallet is. So we could talk about what a wallet is. And then do you keep your crypto as if it's, or I guess your wallet, as if it's a bank account? And let us
wallets are basically the digital place where these things are stored. And you have to have a comparable wallet. So for Bitcoin, you need a Bitcoin wallet, or you have Ethereum, you have an Ethereum wallet, those kind of things. But as for a bank account, and I think that's where We need to kind of decouple. I know we're talking about monetary, but sometimes you're holding different value. It's not always monetary. Again, this is where the tokens come in. You're holding an asset. So this is still, a wallet would still be that place that if Eric sold me a bit of his house, I would need my wallet to hold that piece. So it's not just money. So it is different than a bank account in that way. With regard to, I think the strategy that most people always are kind of using at this point or looking at, Bitcoin being the price that it is right now and its longevity is used as the storage of value. That truly is what most people are using it for because of the attributes that it has. Whereas the altcoins, which are any of those other coins that we're seeing people are using and coming up each and every day, those are what people use to leverage for different things, to participate in projects, to get rewarded for things and whatnot. And sometimes they keep them for whatever they need, trade them around. And ultimately, if they feel like they've gotten enough value, they then transfer that value into Bitcoin. So that's how you're looking at these things, that they're very much innocuous, that they can move around. You're not just, like, give me $5. I'm going to put my $5 in the bank. You give me $10 there. I got to put that in the bank. These are different assets. So we have to be able to look at them from the purview of like, okay, you gave me a token. I'm keeping that because I know it's going to go. You gave me something that is really hot right now, but it's more like this is the project just launched and now there's a whole lot of people, like the Clubhouse coin. Okay, I just want to get in and get out. I want to make that hard money and just get in, and I want to change that value directly into make sure my Bitcoin wallet is, operating. So I think those are what you're looking for. And it's a hard question. I think most people want to know, like, what is the thing? There is no thing. You really have to do what you need to do for yourself with regard to it. And there's many different strategies here. And I see Chris's question is the same thing. Your coins are for the purpose that you need them for. Like I said, do you need energy tokens? Because I certainly do, but that's me. Do you need a game coin? I don't know. I certainly don't need them, but the 18-year-old in my house is definitely on that tip. So that's where those things are. So the average is what you paid for them, depending on how you got in and when you got in, because there are projects that, like I said, are cents to the dollar right now. And others, like I said, you can't even, if any of y'all can buy a full Bitcoin right now, we need to talk. I need to talk to you and see you in the parking lot because I need you to help me.
No, not say the parking lot.
That's
No.
what we're gonna do the transaction. I can't do that. I need you to just meet me out there. I'll come to you.
That sounds shady, Talisha. No.
Social distancing. I gotta make sure they safe. I'm trying to be safe. We can't be together in the house. So we can't do that. We have
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Chris, yeah, that answer. Sorry, Talisha did answer your question. I have one final question here from Donna, which is a great question. Donna Robinson in Facebook. How do you research cryptocurrencies?
Okay. I would say the best place to go is to the website of any of the currencies and read that white paper. If they don't have one, that's your first clue that you're going to have a problem. Every single coin and token has the white paper associated with it. And you do other due diligence. Go to, basically to social media. Do they have any presence? Do they have a team? Is it just like, did they just out of nowhere come up and now all of a sudden they got a $15,000, coin? That really doesn't happen that way. I would research them. And just, I said, when you search for them, if they have some viability, and that's not everybody has a great marketing budget. So you don't look for the razzle dazzle. You're looking for key indicators such as viable information. Can you answer the question, what do they do? How do they plan on solving the problem that they have stated? If it is a lot of fluff, if it doesn't really meet that test, if you can't say, yes, I know this coin does X, that's going to be your indicator that might not be something that you want. And also, again, I think these are the kind of conversations, we have Black Blockchain Consultants Facebook group. We have those kind of like people like, what do you think about this coin? We still have the same questions are asked, but then you get everybody's input to that of, this is what I think it is, or, oh, I've heard it being used in this way, because we all get information. It's a deluge of information every single day. It is not something that you're just going to, 48 hours and you're going to know everything. It just doesn't happen that way. So just do the due diligence of, like I said, always start with a white paper and then just kind of go from there. Social media, talking to individuals. I mean, sometimes you can get the individual who made it on Twitter and say, hey, can you tell me about your coin? And they just light up and tell you everything that you may or may not want to know, but they love to talk to you sometimes. So it's a great way to leverage social media and to have that information readily available to you.
Yeah. So,
can I add a couple more tools?
Yeah, please.
One, I think a great research tool is CoinGecko. If you ever want, you can go check out CoinGecko. CoinGecko will pull up any project. First of all, if it's not on CoinGecko, you definitely better not put your.
I have a problem.
Please don't. But CoinGecko is excellent in giving you a lot of the metrics that I think you want to look at. You do want to look at supply. If it has, like that, that's a basic law of supply and demand. As Talisha has mentioned, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has a limited supply. So you do want to bring in that factor. Also, Masari.io is a great research tool. You can check them out, and they do really solid research. And also too, and I'm going to say this as in the nature of peer decentralization, and as this thing is being built now, and Talisha is right, the deluge of information is like drinking from a fire hose. It's so much every day that, but I will say this, I do find YouTube videos incredibly helpful. Now, granted, you will have to, really look through and find, because there are a lot of idiots out there that you don't want to be listening to. But there are people, who do very solid research and have very professional videos. I think Coin Bureau is one. These very, very professional videos that are excellent. And you can go. And the reason I'm saying that is, just as Talisha mentioned, the wide spectrum, that's what you really need in order before you make any decision to invest in any project. You need to do your own research, DYOR, do your own research, and do it across a wide spectrum and look at a bunch of different things and go, okay, you know what? I feel very confident about what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go and I'm going to invest in this project. And I think that's a much better premise than, listening to like Snoop talking about Doge and you go right behind him. I don't think you want to do that. I mean, people are doing it, but I'm like,
no, let's not do that.
I agree. I will say that, so I don't buy as many coins as I used. I haven't bought a coin in over a year, I have to admit. But when I first got started, I would read the white paper and I would ask, does this make business sense? And one of my favorite coins was Factum. I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm saying back in the day when I was buying coins, I liked the use case of it and I liked what they were doing. And they were going after certain markets with that coin that I thought, okay, this is a smart business strategy. And then I bought another coin called Tron. Again, I'm not telling you to buy it. Please, I bought these like years ago. They're just sitting on a wallet somewhere. But they allowed independent artists to tokenize their their records and albums and things like that. And then you could earn royalties based on how well that artist did. And I thought that those projects were interesting. So, if they took off, great. I didn't put enough money into to really, I'm not losing sleep over it, right? But I thought that those projects were really great. And I think sometimes you just go and you look at a project, for example, like a guap coin, because somebody had mentioned that, which was started by a Black businesswoman named Tavania Evans. And you may say, I want to participate in this economy. And sometimes it's not about, is the coin going to go from $3 to 36,000. Sometimes it's, I want to be a part of this community, or I want to participate in this use case. And if I own, if I own the coin and I own the token, then I'm probably going to come back and check on it a little bit more and see where this is headed as well. So I wanted to just kind of, have that in there. Don't forget blockchainstudies.tech, blockchainstudies.tech. The 50% off coupon is 10K crypto. 10K crypto. And I am going to have Talisha, give us some final words with regards to blockchain and crypto 101. What should people, assignments, last thoughts that people should think about?
I think a cursory understanding of blockchain is necessary for you to understand what is going on. I always equate it to the internet. You don't know all the intricacies. Most of you don't know HTML, and nor do you have to, but you have some understanding of how it works. You know how to troubleshoot your Wi-Fi or get connected or how to download things. You do need a working knowledge of blockchain as the infrastructure to really, truly, fully appreciate the applications that come there. So that cryptocurrency becomes much better and more kind of solvent to you when you understand where it's coming from and why. So those are the things that you're kind of looking at. Don't go into it thinking that, oh, I need to be a heavy tech person. It's not really required. Really what's required is a business understanding of what it can do. And just like I said, that's a cursory thing, is if they tell you a problem, does that solution that they pose seem viable to you? That's really what you're looking for. And I think that echoes Cherie's point of sometimes it's not the monetary value, it's the participation and being a contributor to something that potentially can grow and be something else. So maybe there is a monetary aspect to it, but all in all, like you said, wouldn't you like to be a part of something? And I think that's a lot of this is being like, why people are on Clubhouse, because they can say, I'm on Clubhouse. Mm-hmm. They're not getting paid for that. They just go there. They're a part of something. This is a way to actually have something, a digitized asset to show you that you're a part of something. So that does give a little more credence to it, I think. So when you're thinking of cryptocurrency and blockchain, kind of think of them separately. They're not the same thing. They don't use them interchangeably. One creates the other. You need that in order to move, but you don't need a technical proficiency. You do need to be very stringent, though, with your due diligence. That's always what I'm telling you. You got to do your own research. You cannot listen to any individual. I mean, that's just not going to work. The celebrities, the people who are hawking the coins, there's just not enough information from them that will give you that confidence. I don't even particularly do that. So I'm telling you what I subscribe to. If I don't see it and it doesn't pass my sniff test, it doesn't go. And I think that's what we have to get to. We can no longer rely on just cursory information here and there. And, oh, it sounds good, I've heard it in the news. That's not enough. You really have to do your own work to get to the point of feeling very comfortable to turn over your money to these platforms.
Absolutely. And Eric, you have final words for the family?
Yes. Sorry, just responding. One of the things one of the things I did want to say is for anyone, listen, I know that, some people maybe they're listening to this conversation and they're looking at Bitcoin and they say $46,000 or something like that. And they kind of feel when it comes down to this conversation that they're late to the party. Don't feel like that. Like, you actually are at the right time. So much, this is still under development you're actually early for the most part still. And I know that might seem completely ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about, Eric? I missed all of this. No, you're not. Because as this is continually being built, we will begin to see new iterations, new developments, new trends created in this space. There are trends that are happening right now that previously, when we came into 2017, no one was even talking about. No one was even concerned about. And then now those things, when we talk about DeFi, when we talk about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, now these things are like real trends, real markets happening. I'm going to tell you now, within the next 2 to 3 years, there will be trends happening there that no one is talking about right now. So, and it would be amazing for each of you that as you go on your blockchain journey to then cement yourself so then you can go and take part of that.
Absolutely. So if you want to know who are going to be two of the gazillionaires from the blockchain and tokenization and crypto space, they are on your screen and they are not me. Talisha and Eric are, two of the smartest people that I know, and they listen to a lot. They're engaged in a lot more even than I am, with regards to blockchain and crypto. And there's also so much that happens within blockchain and crypto. But I will say this. 3+ years ago, we started Black Blockchain Consultants, and it was the same reason that we started the 10K project. With Black Blockchain Consultants, I just was sick and tired of us missing the boat. And at the time, people were so crazy over Bitcoin, and we were all a part of well, I don't think Talisha was, but the rest of us were part of a group. And the guy who was teaching us about Bitcoin said, but if you really want to know where the action is, it's with blockchain. And I immediately said, what's blockchain? And once I started doing my research, I said, he's right. Bitcoin is just the tip of the iceberg. There are going to be trillionaires, billionaires, and decamillionaires made over the next 5 to 7 years due to blockchain. So definitely understanding not only tokenization and coins that you can invest in, but also understanding the underlying technology, the use cases, and being able to spot some of the trends is going to be vital for us being successful as investors and as citizens of this world over the next 20 to 30 to 50 years, depending on how old you are. So I just want to leave that with everybody. It's very important. Go ahead, Talisha.
I wanted to make sure people understood this because I get that question a lot too about like, are we late to the party? And 40% of the available supply of Bitcoin right now is held by small and medium-sized hodlers, which are the people who hold the coin. So if you think about that, 40%. So even though we're seeing, the Elon Musk buying, $1.5 billion of it, think about that in comparison. He's still one person, and it's still, there's, again, it's a finite amount. It's not going to just go forever. It's not like a fiat dollar. But the fact that we haven't even gotten the second, halving is coming in April, but that we are here. And I think Eric likes this point too, that these trends happen with us. We are the holders of these coins and of these tokens to do what we need to do. And again, that's where the difference is. This is the bilateral exchange. It's not just like I'm giving you $1 and you just have to suck it up. This is your choice to make those choices for yourself. And with that 40% of us being those holders, think about what we could do with that from a collective standpoint. And this is my biggest challenge with us. We do need to get off of this, grab and get really quickly. We do need to have some ethical aspects, some collective aspects. And I know we talked a little bit about different exchanges, but we have to look at who really is supporting us so that we can support them appropriately as well. So I think these are the things that when we're in this is new. We're not talking about an old fiat system. So with a new comes a new perspective. We get to do a whole lot of things that we weren't able to do previously. So this is incumbent upon us to do it right and not just to take a shortcut.
Yeah, Sheree, hold on. Talisha, thank you for mentioning that. Thank you. You right, because you I mentioned this boat. Yeah, you did right. That's right.
Grab and go. I can't go with the grab and go anymore. We got to stop doing that. This is the whole thing. The grab and go is not getting us anywhere. That short term is really, the strategy is being used against us because they know we're coming. So they're selling it to us. We're taking it all, but then they go off and buy $1.5 billion of another coin. He didn't buy $1.5 billion of Doge. So that's what you have to understand. These strategies are being purposely given to us because we come in mass. But then again, we're left holding the bag. You want the bag, you need to be smart about it. That's what we have to stop with this, just seeing it and it looks good. We need to take a step back and look at that strategy. What's going on with this coin? How do we get involved with it? Is this the right time to get involved with it? There are so many other questions, and I think that instantaneous FOMO is killing us as we're not getting anywhere. And this is a great opportunity for us, and we don't want to recreate what we had in the past. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, I will say another thing. Don't be afraid to be the only chocolate in a room. If there's any time to not be concerned about that, this is the time to not be concerned about being the only chocolate. In fact, if you're the only chocolate in the room, take notes and come back and tell the rest of us what happened, because that's what you really want to hear. You want to hear those conversations that are being had over there. So with that, that is the end of our discussion for the evening about crypto and blockchain. Don't forget, you're able to go to blockchainstudies.tech and take a couple of classes and courses, online courses with regards to blockchain and crypto. You can get 50% off with the code 10K Crypto. 10K Crypto, and the website again is blockchainstudies.tech. So, Eric, did I give you a chance to say any final words? I can't remember.
No, yeah, that was it.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect.
So you already know. I'll just start rambling on and on. We'll be here for days.
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to like over, and then Tawana will be like, you didn't ask Eric the final. I was like, oh. So let's make sure that I did that. Okay, then. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow if you're a member for Family Book Club.